Hello, everybody. Welcome to the NUFC360 podcast, our weekly digest of everything going on with Newcastle United. I'm your host, Will Dixon. We are joined by Matt and Johnny this week. Guys, how are you?
Very good. Warm, but very good, yeah.
Yeah, it's been very warm the last few days. And we are joined by a very special guest for this week. We welcome ex-Newcastle right-back, Warren Barton. Warren, how are you?
I'm very well. It's always warm where I am, gentlemen, so I'm fine. I'm in
Let you rub it in.
California. But enjoy the heat and the humidity and sweating because it'll be pouring with rain tomorrow. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Back to normal.
I'm craving it.
We've had a taste of that LA lifestyle and now it's already gone. So disappointing. But we thank you so much for joining us. Really great to have you on. And I mean, where better to start? I mean, it's been such a crazy turnaround in the last year for Newcastle. And I'd love to know what you think about what you've seen with the club. The 14 years under Mike Ashley and now with the new owners in place. How do you see the club, especially from over there in the States?
I think globally, everyone sees the club now as going towards being a powerhouse. And they're the stages that the club will have to do. Let's go back to the last 14 years of emptiness, a soulless team, a club that's dear to obviously my heart and everybody else's heart to be a proper club and a club that you should be proud of. And that's the reason, I think myself, Rob Lee, Steve Howie, Al Shearer had come out and it looked so vulnerable and so weak. And then you translate to what it is now, being a powerhouse. And that's all down to the ownership coming in. But what I put it down to is the way that the fans reacted after the takeover. We've seen clubs get took over and owners go on and go from, but to unite a whole city and rejuvenate a whole population of people is quite remarkable. And I think I know it took the owners by surprise with the support, the love, the small things that they did about cleaning the windows, the small things that they've done about making sure the ground is at the standard of what the fans are. And when I was in Newcastle, the football club is the heartbeat of the city. As you come in, whether it's on the A1 or you get the train that's coming into Newcastle or you're driving in, is a stadium. But the stadium's nothing without the fans, and the fans have been disillusioned for a number of times. And then to see the excitement of a parade when you beat Burnley 1-0. I've got booed off against beating Watford and Bradford, and we won 1-0. We got booed off. We couldn't get off there quick enough, me and Rob Lee. So, that's the change around. And the owners have bought into what the club is. Eddie has bought and understands what the club is, leaving the training ground at 11 o'clock at night and stopping for a fan to sign. That's the type of things Kevin Keegan would have done, so Bobby would have done. And I know we don't want to keep harping on in the past, but we should be proud of our past, proud of our history. Okay, people always say we never won anything, but we tried to do the things the right way and being part of a football club, and to see where we are now and have that vision and spending a small time with the owners, when I'm in a small time, just being in a room with them and discussing about the game or just about what was going on, to see the vision and the plan and the determination, because I think they was overwhelmed by the support of the fans and thought, well, we better do something. They did that in January. They've come again with a CEO and a director of football, which is the modern game, which you should be doing. They want to know about the academy with Steve Harper, what's going on there, where's the players that we expect to be coming through. They've looked at the women's game as well to make sure that that's a valuable part, but also looked into the city about making sure the cities, and we're joking about the weather and everything, but we know what it's like. Even when it's raining and we've got 3 points, everyone's still smiling and happy. The wind's coming off the North Sea. We're trying to do a little bit of training out there, and the wind's kicking in. But there's a buzz in the air, and that takes away everything that's gone on. So where the club was so vulnerable and weak and a shadow of itself has now got life back into it. And once you have that life and have that support and have that togetherness where you've got an owner, the playing staff, and more important, the fan base all in one direction, that can be very, very powerful. And you've seen that. We're outbidding AC Milan. We're signing players that's been a steady Premier League player for a number of years. We're getting a goalkeeper that's an England international. We've signed, which I think the most important signing was Trippier. a proper player that set the tone for Bruno to come in. When you see a Trippier, it's like, okay, they mean they're trying to do the right thing. And obviously with Bruno coming in, that will attract more players as well. So I couldn't be more pleased for the area, the city, although I'm thousands of miles away. You can feel it from here when I speak to people on social media, podcasts, whatever it may be. You can just feel the excitement and the pride back in saying that, I support, mumble it. It's like, no, we'll have a go. Listen, if we don't do what we did, we failed. We didn't, but we had a bloody good go. And if this ownership and manager and these group of players, and we need to add, let's not be naive. If we want to really compete, we need an Alan Shearer, you need a Les Ferdinand, you need a Rob Lee, you need a Peter Beardsley, a Shay Given, a Gary Speed. You need them type of players. But we're definitely going in the right direction. And I couldn't be more pleased for everybody involved in the club, because it must be, a joy to be around, even though it might be a bit cold up there sometimes.
And it must be strange, like for younger generations, like myself personally. So I'm lucky. I grew up in your era, Warren. So I was mid-90s kid. Went and saw you all train at Durham and Chelsea Street and all the rest of it, and it was there for the away 5-0 and against Man U and all that sort of good stuff. But for the younger generation who haven't experienced that, it must be crazy having 14 years of Mike Ashley's reign, shall we say, to then have this, this new lease of life, I suppose. Like, they have the optimism. It must be a crazy feeling. And Will, I'm looking at you here with your baby face. I'm assuming this is your generation. But
yeah, exactly. I never knew the successful times.
Yeah, and for the new fans is to take what the old fans, like we was talking just off air a little bit about the season tickets that are coming up, the standing area that might happen, queuing up for a shirt. These are all the things that make this club special. It doesn't happen anywhere else. It really doesn't. They spoke about maybe moving a stadium, making it bigger, whatever. These are things that the new fans, the younger fans, it's not their fault, because when they was born, they didn't have a choice. They were supporting Newcastle, and that's the bottom line. And then to experience what went on 20-odd years, 25 years ago, is exciting. And all I've ever said is, please God, St. Maximin, these players have 8 years of what I had, of just pure excitement and adrenaline, and going to St. James's Park, because the fans will give that back. Although it's a new generation, they still understand what it is to be a Newcastle fan, to go and support their team through thick and thin, to get on a bus at 12 o'clock at night, drive down to London, get off it, go to the game, get back on it, have a few and get back on. That's what we're all about, and that's what makes us what we are. And fans travel European football. I can't wait for the new fans to experience that. When they've travelled away to PSV, or they're going to Barcelona in the Champions League, or wherever it may be, San Siro, to experience that, because it's special. That's what being a football fan's about. It's going to go to a game where you're hoping you're going to get a result, or believing that you've got a chance of getting a result, rather than thinking, I ain't watching that, and there's no point watching it because we ain't going to win. And we ain't even, and more to the point, we ain't even going to try. We're just going to accept what's going to happen and see if we can do it. As I said before, with when Bobby or Kevin was there, and it was always, we respect the opposition, but we didn't fear them. We didn't say, oh, we'll sit back and let you dictate, particularly at home. And that's what the fans have experienced for a number of years. So that, let them enjoy it. Let them have so much fun, because, and what I love at the moment, you've got a real connection with social media, how things have moved on, with the fans and the players. We maybe did that more one-on-one, walking around the town and being around, and whether it was out on the quayside or being at training ground where there's 4,000 or 5,000 people watching us train, we had that connection. Or if we play an away game, we go over to the fans and we see them and spend our time with the fans. There's an immediate connection now with the fan base, and the social media of Newcastle United, whoever's doing that should get a pat on the back, because it's like night and day to what it was. And I do believe, and I don't know this for certain, I think that's coming from the ownership. The ownership is saying, we've got to let the fans understand, and that's important. We've got to let the fans in, because it's their club. Let them in. They're part of us, and it's been great. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, I've been interested with, obviously, Darryl Niles has just joined, hasn't he, from Atlanta, and his big mantra was all about the fans, and there we go on screen. and obviously his big mantra was asking questions that every decision he makes is through a fan's eye, essentially. So it'll be really good to see how that impacts the the commercial aspects.
He done a great job at Atlanta. They had a really good owner, and they still have there, and the new stadium, and Carlos was there, and the new manager as well. But they said straight away what they was going to be about the area, about the city. And if anyone knows Atlanta, it's not really a soccer town. You know, they've got the football, obviously, and baseball, and you're competing with other major sports. What they've generated there is like a collection of soccer fans, or football fans, should I say, but soccer fans that are not the football fans that are saying, well, it's Atlanta, I'm going to support them, like they do with the baseball. They're their own group of fans. And he went into the community and identified it. And particularly being, not from the area. He's obviously not from Atlanta, and to go and do that. So I'm really excited. And people ask me, is he any good? He is really good. He's really good because he understands how important a community is, a fan base is, and what the fans want. They don't want to be messed around. They don't want to be lied to. They don't want to be led down a path. They want to have an experience. And I think, again, going into St. James's, I think we're going to see that. He'd be a big part of going to forums and getting out in the community. And he'd do really well. I've heard a lot of good things that when he was in Atlanta. Not from a distance, I see it, but obviously I know a lot of people that work there. Stephen Glass, obviously one of the old Newcastle players, was there with the reserve team and took over a little bit with the first team. And he's a good man. And we've done well. We've got two good technical directors and CEOs that it took the time, but it's worth it when you get quality like that.
Yeah. I just want to know, I mean, you said you met the owners. What was it about them that you've talked so highly of them, and the impact that they've had and how they understand the club? What was it about them that made you feel like you could really trust them, and really gave you that feeling?
I know it's another thing, but I remember Sir John, when I shook his hand, he shook my hand and looked at me in the eye and started talking to me, and that's what the owner did. He shook my hand and he looked me eye to eye. And maybe an old thing, it may be something stupid, it may be, but he was just honest with like the game and just chatting. And but a leader, you could tell in the way, in their tone of their voice, it wasn't a sales pitch. It wasn't. I've been around long enough in the game and in life, long enough to know someone that's trying to, there's an old saying, don't kid a kidder, and they're not like that. And it wasn't like a promise and we're going to do it. It was like, we're building it. We know what we're doing, and this is important. And he rattled off 5 or 6 different things, and she did as well. And talking to them and just being around, and even, I've been around, chairmen and people. They shake your hand, but they're looking for the next one. They're talking to you, but they're looking about something else. And they did that with everybody. So it wasn't like it was an old player coming back or so and so, but just you get that handshake and you get that feeling. And when Kevin Keegan tapped me on the shoulder and said, come and join a big club, that type of thing sits well with you. You must have met people in the past that, not necessarily famous people, but people that you work with. You just get an instinct that, like, okay, this is a real person, this is a real deal. So yeah, as I said, that the first impressions with me was okay. Not that they're trying to sell you or we're going to wow you. It wasn't all that. And I've been enough around people like that are trying to spill you this great activity and this reinventing the game and reinventing everything else. But yeah, they just come across as people that knew exactly what they was doing and knew exactly what they were going to do, and they knew exactly when they're going to do it and how they're going to do it. And it may take a period of time, but it ain't going to take long. You know what I mean? It's not like they haven't come out and said, "Oh, we've got a 15-year plan." They've got a plan, and it's gonna happen. And you've seen one transfer window, you've seen another transfer, and in between that transfer window, you've seen a stadium cleaned, a stadium remodeled, a training ground, talking to the public, talking to the food bank, talking to the women's game, talking to the media, talking to agents, and getting people in the board as well. So I think that speaks volumes of what they've done in a short space of time. The hardest thing is always got what we try to do is bridge that gap to be a contender and be a winner. That's the next thing. It's not easy, but it's easier to get there. The difficult thing will be getting on that next level, which are what we all want.
But the old adage, isn't it? We don't demand a team that wins; we demand a team that tries. And that's exactly what they're doing.
Well, I tried
so.
to tell Talk Sport that when I went on there 15 times to say it's about winning. I said, no one's mentioned about winning, Simon.
Exactly.
No one's. We said we just want to compete. That's all we want to do. We want to compete and be proud. That's if anything else comes, we're going to celebrate better than anybody else. But at the moment, let's let us compete.
Exactly that.
Yeah. I mean, with obviously you played in such great eras for Newcastle in more recent memory. Definitely the more successful eras of our history. I mean, how are you comparing what the club and the atmosphere around the club was like back then to what it is now?
They're having moments of that atmosphere. The last game of the season, the Arsenal game, obviously, and the first win at home. We had that consistently for a number. It was like a frenzy each time coming to a game. Driving to St James's, people getting there early, the kids getting there, people going into their routine, going into the same pub they go to, make sure that type of atmosphere was always around, and that was built by Kevin. The group before. And when I come to Newcastle, the Lee Clarks, the Steve Howie, Robbie Elliott, Steve Watson, all these players that have been there, born and bred in that area. Peter Beardsley, Rob Lee, made it perfectly clear. Pavel Cernacek, like it's building. Barry Venison, I'll never forget. I was with England, and there was talk, obviously, that I was coming, and Barry probably in the back of his mind thought that I'm coming to take his spot, to take his place. But he sat down and said it's going to be great up there. Me and Les were sitting there, and he was just saying, it's going to be magnificent what they're building up there, the way Kevin is, and it was just a frenzy of excitement and power. And as I said, they've had moments of it. What we was able to do was do it for a few years, and as I said, Maiden Castle in the snow, 4,000 people, 5,000 people with a hamburger stall, and your manager's sitting at the top having a cup of tea and a sausage sandwich while his teams are training. They're unusual things. Maybe that's not what you should do now, but that's what it was all about. That was what made it the entertainers. That's what made us all part of a group. We've just Derek Wright, the physio that's just retired from the club. He was a big part of it. So whether you was Alan Shearer, Kevin Keegan, a supporter, or the physio Derek Wright, or Tomo, the kit man, Tomo's still there. We still love it, and they was part of us all. And we had it all the time. And there was some tough times. Obviously, there was some difficult moments. So Bobby brought it back to where we wanted to be and get the pride and back in the Champions League. And that goes sometimes a little bit under the radar. That not only did he bring the pride back and the quality of football back, but to get them back up there, it was. When Rude, we was like languishing middle of the table, doing nothing. He brought one player in, Kevin Gallagher, that got us to an area that we keep believing, like now, really, got us to that 8th, 9th spot. And then they kicked on from that and got in the Champions League the following. So, that's the type of power that it can have. So, they're getting glimpses of what we had. And like I said, if Sam Maximin thinks he's, lauded and he's loved, go and ask Tino and Les when they go out, and Alan Shearer. That's really being lauded up and fans loving you. He's just had a little smidgen of it, I've stood there when 20, 30, 40,000 are just going Shearer, Shearer, Shearer for 25 minutes after he's banged in another goal from 35 yards. So, they've got a little bit to go. Yeah, they're different, but there's only one Alan, and that's what the song says. There's only one Alan Shearer. And that's why, he is what he is, and that's why he's got a statue outside.
And it's got again, a lot easier name to pronounce, hasn't it? Let's face it.
Yeah, exactly. I had a song about my hair, so if they can do it about my hair, they can do it about someone that's got a couple of syllables in their name, so they can change it around a little bit. I heard Joe Linton one's a bit of a good one as well, but we can't say that at the moment. He's got a good song.
Unfortunately not. It was great to see him sing it back on the podcast. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I always think a good manager is where John Joe Shelby and Joe Linton was under Steve.
Yeah.
And for Eddie to come in, okay, go and buy 3 or 4 players and then a player on loan, but make them to the players they was towards the end of the season. That's good management. That's good man management, and to get them into an area. So that's another good sign that, with the manager that's, again, he's so proud to be part of it, and rightly so. rightly so. I mean, I must love, if I was a coach there or involved in a club, walking in every morning, that you've got the crest on your chest and you're going into an environment that wants to do well. And again, that's what we had. That's what we had all the time with Derek, with Tomo, with all the people, with Jules Courtney that was there. You know, all these people that was all part of the club.
Yeah. What's it like for a player when, you know, obviously, as you said, you've played, you know, under the very popular managers and maybe the not so popular managers as well during that era as well. What's it like for the players when, you know, a manager like Sir Bobby comes in when maybe the previous one wasn't as well liked, and the fans get behind and they galvanise?
Yeah, I mean, it's a real a weight off your shoulders, because I think a lot of us was leading the burden of the pressure that Rude, if we're going to be quite direct with Rude Hullet, as much as we learnt a lot of way about the game and certain things with Rude, because I think you always try and learn off of people, and someone of his experience you learn. But what you learnt as well was Paul with his man management skills, you know, how it was man management. So when Bobby come in, it was like you could smile again, you could be yourself again, you could, you know, you wasn't walking around thinking, God, I'm training here, but I've got 5 of my mates training with the kids, Rob Lee, Nikos, Stuart Pearce, John Barnes, just being thrown out to go and train over there when they don't deserve that. And we're like limping along in the league. And then Bobby comes in, shirt and tie, his jacket on, trying to figure out his mobile phone out, how to turn it off or put it on silent. And then just actually, and we all laugh about it, he's like, as he's walking over, we're going, I wonder what name he's going to remember. Who does he actually know here? You know, who does he? So we're going, so Alan. So that's straight away. He's gone for the first one, Alan, and then just had to talk. And hi, Warren, how are you? So I'm punching. I'm like, yeah, he's gone to Speedo and around. There's a couple, hi, son. So he didn't know 1 or 2. So we called them son for a while, but just lifted everybody. And then he just spoke for moments to say, this is what I want, this is what I expect, this is what they expect, they being the fans and the club, and we're going to do it. And you know, we went out the next 48 hours later and beat Sheffield Wednesday 8-0, and Alan got 5 goals and said to Alan, you know, I don't want you facing this way, because Alan being Alan said, well, that's what the other idiot told me to do, is come short. Bobby said, I want you facing the goal, and he goes and scores 5 goals. So, you know, and the rest is history. But it just gives you such a lift. It gives you such a, you know, a purpose, again, a new lease of life, and a sense of pride of what you was doing. Because as much as we was trying to be professional, you know, we didn't have our captain and leader. He wasn't with us, and he was thinking about leaving. He was, you know, wasn't sure what his future was. He'd left everything to come to Newcastle because that was his club, and this was what he wanted to do. And then he's got someone that's saying, well, actually, we're going to get rid of you because I don't particularly like you. It wasn't because of anything else. It was, I don't value you as a player. And, you know, but we got over that. And as I said, it was, and Bobby come in. So it was difficult because as much as you were all professional, they're friends, and they're still friends now on WhatsApp. I hit them up and we talk to each other, or we touch base if we're around and things like that. So when you spend that much time with each other and you give everything you can for each other, you have a sense of togetherness and spirit. And as much as we wasn't the finished article with the blue chip players we had, but it gave the foundation for Kieran, for Craig Bellamy, for Jermaine Genius, for Lauren Robert to start feeling that they could express themselves and go, because the others would take a little bit of the pressure. You know, don't worry about it. We'll deal with all this. You just deal with what you got to do and play football. And that's what Bobby was great at doing, like understanding what my role was to make sure that I was getting Aaron Hughes ready and for you to leave and to make me feel responsible for doing that, which was, you know, it's strange to go. And it was hard when he said to me, you're going, but I knew deep down in my heart it was time to go. Rob Lee still don't admit it. Rob Lee's still not having it.
He'll still be on that pitch now.
Yeah, exactly. Rob said he could, with his big fat ass, he could still be playing out there for another 35 years. So, but he was a player. He was a player, Doggy. So yeah. But it was time. You know, and that's what, you know. As I said, that's what you go through as players and experience. And you know, as much as Bobby, you know, would would be nice and polite. He had that side to him and that's what made him what he is. I mean, that's why he was so successful to go to 3 different countries and win trophies at Barcelona, Porto, Holland, and then obviously lead the national team. And we miss him. And we miss him because he's a big, big part of this football club. And as I said, we all miss him.
Definitely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, looking at what the club's like at the minute and the transfer window, as you say, we've had a very successful January. A lot of players being brought in and integrated very successfully. This window, not quite as many in numbers. Nick Pope, Matt Targett re-signs, Sven Botman as well. What are you making of the club's transfer business? And do you think the right moves are being made?
I think it's very, very thoughtful. It's there's a strategy behind what they're doing. The first 3 signings, okay, goalkeeper, re-sign someone, and the player that they was desperate to get in January got the player that they needed. What they will find, I think, difficult now is just getting the other final pieces that they need, because I think at the beginning, all the agents said this is going to be an easy ride. We're going to just rip them to pieces and take what we can. Then they realised that wasn't happening. And now you've got to negotiate with people. And that takes longer now, because where before it's like, well, it's 50 million, take it or leave it. It's like, oh, it's 50 million. That's done. It's like, no, we'll give you 40. No, we want 50, take it or leave it. Okay, leave it then. We'll go to someone else. When you're at that level of players, you have the certain level which we was before, where can we get a freebie? Can we get someone that's out of contract? Can we get someone to loan? Then you go into that next tier of players that want to be in the Premier League, they want to be established. Then you need the other echelons of where going to take you to European football, and then the cream of the cream is at the very top. And sometimes the cream of the cream is actually easier because that's a smaller market. The third quarter of where you want to get into that area, like Wolves have done, like Leicester have done, like West Ham have done. That's them type of players that you're working out to get, because you're not in European football, but they know it's going to be a year away, or could possibly be a year away. So you're trying to go to that. And also you've got rid of the fact that you're the richest club in the world, that everybody just wants to take you to the cleaners. And now people know we're not going to be intimidated or bullied. But I do believe if they want someone, they're going to pay for it. So I still believe in back of my mind and in my heart, if there's something that they feel that they can go and get that's going to take them to that next level, like a Bruno, I think they will go for it. I think they will outbid someone and maybe pay more on wages. But they've set the tone with everybody and been so strategic in what they're doing and how they want to do it. So the back line is obviously important, the goalkeeper foundation. Now, can we get the final piece up front? But as fans, I'm looking every day thinking, why haven't we signed an offensive player? Why haven't we signed another forward? Why haven't we got... You get into a little bit of an eager fashion about why haven't we got this player that's coming in? And Eddie said it perfectly. It's got to be the right player and the right time to do that. As much as we want X, Y, Z, we also want someone that wants to come to Newcastle, not that we're forcing them to come because they might have a few more digits, or the agent is maybe not the right fee that he's going to get. So I go to another club that's willing to pay it. And that's the way of the world. And like I said earlier on in this conversation, the owners said this is a long plan. They're not looking for like year and then get out of it, resell it and move on. They're like, okay, we're going to get there. We want to get there in this year, but we're not going to burst the bank to get there first and foremost. We're going to do it the way we think it's the right way to do. So, but I still believe another midfield player, probably a wide, out and out wide player, and another centre forward as well. If we can keep Wilson fit, but you don't want to be like that. Woods is there. You don't want to keep hanging on that, because then if you do lose someone, and please God touch wood, we don't lose someone with injury, then you are at the beck and call of someone else. Like, well, you take it or leave it, and we need it, so we're going to pay for it. So it's better to try and do it now with the business going forward. But that's why Dan and that are getting paid the big bucks. That's why they got a room at St James's to get it done.
And do you have your eye on anyone, or anyone you'd like to see in the black and white shirt?
Well, I did at the beginning say with Sterling. I thought that was a type of exciting player with experience. I know obviously he's gone to Chelsea, but there's lots of players that I think we can look at. Ward-Prowse at Southampton, that type of that's good at set pieces, a little bit of a money ball where he's going to deliver certain balls into. So they're the players, and just to keep what you keep looking at the Bundesliga, you look at Liga, and where these young excited players, the boy at Borussia Dortmund, the midfield player, I'd love to go and get him, Willingham, but I don't know how much that would take, but he's a proper player. But they're the type of, that's what we're looking at now, rather than who's on loan, who's free, and does anyone want to come? That's where we are. So it's lovely to have that philosophy, and I think it will start changing. But we have to get there first. That's the main thing. So. But I'll ask you guys. Are you asking me all the question? Is there anyone that you would like out there? I think we've been linked with everyone, so you can just take
the whiteboard to choose from.
Yeah,
I know. I mean, I've got my heart set on that Mr. Diaby from Leverkusen. I know it's been linked and dismissed and all the rest of it, but I think a left-footed right winger is, with quality, who scores goals, who gets assists. I think we're crying out for that at the moment. I think it's probably the biggest piece. A centre forward, a backup centre forward, or a younger centre forward, given that both Wilson and Wood are in the 30s, would probably be, common sense. But I think those two are probably my priorities. But Diaby's the one, honestly. I think he's the one at the moment. But we'll see what comes off.
Yeah. Matt, what are you thinking?
To be honest, I trust Eddie Howe. So it's hard to say off the top of my head with one in particular. I agree with Johnny, like right wing and just a backup striker would be perfect. But my heart is set on Moussa Diaby. But whoever we get linked with and whoever Eddie Howe wants, then I'm happy. I can trust him. It's one of those where he knows a lot more than I do. And all the signings he's made so far, I mean, he's got spot on. So
I think you're right. When you're going with Eddie, you trust him, because what he did with Almiron Miggy is like his agent was saying he's out, but then the last 3 or 4 games, he played some of the best football he's had in a black and white shirt. Okay, maybe the goals, assists, and everything else gets thrown in his face. But he was managing to keep him occupied and keep him feel part of it, and done well. But you're right. We need that wide, exciting player. I think that there's no doubt this group of players are going to be fitter than they've ever been. And the hardest thing with Eddie and the players is going to be the expectations, because we don't, the Nottingham Forest game, that's going to be, the expectations are high. We should win that game. I remember going into our game when we all signed, we're playing Coventry, well organised, good team with Strachan, and but we blew them away 3-0, and that sort of set the tone for the season. And I know we had Les and other players like that going forward. Ginola, which is arguably one of the best 6 months I've ever seen in a black and white shirt with David when he first come into the Premier League. So it's going to be important, because there is going to be a punch on the nose. It's how you react to that, and everyone, if we're being honest, will want to stick the knife in and want to make sure that, okay, we'll be the first one. He's not this season. So we have to stick together to make sure that when the tough times, that we do realise that we do trust him and he is trying to do the right thing. Okay, everybody's allowed their own opinion. There's no doubt about that. But you can't say he's great one minute and then, he's not the right coach at the moment. So, I've had this conversation before. If Newcastle want to get to winning Champions League, they're going to need their coach. That might be true. I mean, Man City are trying to do that with all the good coaches they've had, but they've gone with Pep. But Eddie may grow into that type of manager, so you don't know. So I think we're going to have to stick together with that 6-month period. If it's not going as well as it is, rather than get him out, he's no good, get rid of him off the board, and then you have to start again. And like I said, when I spoke to the owners, it was about a foundation of what they wanted. It wasn't like, we want to get here before we do this. And I think the Eagle said it, we're building a skyscraper, so the foundation's got to be good. So that's what we're trying to do. So I think you're right. I mean, Eddie, we trusted him. And I think we have to remember that in November, February, when maybe a result don't go with us, we've got to remember that about him, rather than being too quick, right, let's get him out. I told you so. He did it at Bournemouth. He's learned from that, you know, and he's articulate enough and he's clever enough. But I think no one prepares you for the expectation and the pressure of being Newcastle. Like Bobby and KK thrived in it. They loved it. Rude was a little bit, I'm off to Amsterdam for the weekend. I don't want someone to talk to me in the metro. I really don't want someone when I'm in Jesmond to come up to me. I don't want that. I had that when I was in AC Milan. Bobby, 45 minutes later, still talking to a security guard down at St James's Park or Selhurst Park. He's talking to KK. We're trying to get off one of at the training ground, and he's still signing autographs because there's another 2 fans that he didn't speak to. So, you know, that's what part of being a manager of Newcastle is about. So, and the media, and obviously now everything's magnetized with social media as well. Everybody wants a story.
Yeah. Do you think the expectations are creeping higher and higher as we're going on? I mean, we're seeing people disappointed, maybe that Diaby, someone that we could only be dreamed of being linked with and potentially in the race for a year ago. People talk about European football as well. You know, are expectations creeping too high, or should fans be more realistic?
No, it's Newcastle United. We should have high expectations. We should have high hopes. But we also have reality that we've had 14 years of nothing at all. There was nothing that you could possibly take from that into this. And what are we now? What, 8-9 months into it? And if you could have said, not even a year into what had happened to where now we're doing. But for the club to be where it wants to be and where it should be, you have high expectations. Sir John Hall made sure, Freddie Fletcher and Freddie Shepherd and everybody, Douglas, they made sure we had high expectations. So when Les Ferdinand come on the market, we wanted to buy it. When an Alan Shearer, when we lost the league the year before, the next year was to go and get the best striker in the world, the best number 9 that's ever played in the Premier League. That was the expectations, and that's where we want to get to. So, yeah, we're a big club. We should have high expectations. Reality is, we're playing a little bit of catch up, but as I said to you before, momentum's a big thing. You start giving people confidence, belief, a structure that people want to do that, they want to follow that, and that will be, put us in good stead. I've always said, don't tell me we can't compete with West Ham, Leicester, Wolves. Please don't. I remember Chelsea when they was, nothing. Man City, we all remember them. They can't fill up a stadium, but now they're a powerhouse because of their influence. So
still can't fill a stadium though. So
they still can't fill a stadium. They still can't do it. Even how insane is that? The football that they play I wouldn't mind if they played like Wimbledon, where it was like launching it forward, They play some of the best football you'll ever likely to see in your life, playing in Champions League, and still can't get people to go and watch them. That's a tough crowd. That's a tough crowd.
Don't think it'd be a problem if Newcastle got in the Champions League.
My goodness, no.
You just said we're selling out in two friendly games in the summer against teams. So, that's where the club is. So, we've got to build on that.
Yeah, for next season, it is starting to creep up on us. It's not too far away. We're only a few weeks away. What do you think is a reasonable expectation, and what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I said it earlier. For me, it would be a really good. If I was Eddie, I'd look for a cup. I would really focus with that. Like, Mourinho, when he took over at Chelsea, was to win a trophy straight away. That was his DNA to do that. So I would, if I was Eddie, make sure, an FA Cup, a League Cup. So that would be something I would go over. But also, coming with that would be to finish at least higher than where we finished. So you have to build on that. So European football really should be where we're trying to get to. You don't know what it might be. You've seen teams like Ipswich come out of the Championship, go up, and then they finish third in the season, or teams a little bit of the unknown. But like I said, it's the expectations. But I think, as I said, the expectations should be high when you play for Newcastle. I think it should be a good cup run, and it should be the chance of getting into European football. That would be our goal. Now, if you turn around to me and say, well, anything else than that would be a failure. If we lose a striker, if this happens, then there's a facts behind why maybe we didn't get to where we wanted to get to. But it's not like, well, I want to survive. my brief for my owner is just to survive whatever it is. Even if my manager or my owner told me I just want to survive, I wouldn't want to survive. I'd want to punch above my weight. I would want to do better than he expects me to do. He expects me just to finish here. I want to be here. That's maybe my upbringing and how it is. But if you can get that and get your players believing in that, then you can do it. But it's going to be tough because everyone wants to beat us now. Where before it's like, oh, it's Newcastle, we're going to beat. Now it's like, oh, I really want to beat them. So they've got to handle that. But if you're fit, organised, prepared, and someone gets a little bit of a run of form, like I said, if you get Sam Maximin and all of a sudden he's on fire, then it makes life a lot easier. Bruno's had a pre-season under his belt. He's got to know the players. He's got friends in the club now. Here we go. Joe Linton's now all of a sudden the face of the team. Everybody loves him. He's got to handle that as pressure as well, because if he starts having a couple of bad games, like I've done, they start booing you, and now you got to deal with that. So there's a lot that could go wrong, but that's where expectations would be, and that's what I'll be telling this group of players and banging on. I know we have to be careful because media comes back to bite you, but you've got to have a certain standard at Newcastle where you expect to be, not where I'm just happy if we just end up here. That's not, people don't want to hear that, and I wouldn't want to go into work thinking I just do enough. I want to do better than I did the day before.
Yeah, agreed. I think top 10 would be my go to. And you also have to remember that end of last season, the run we went on was unbelievable. You can't expect to go on the same run this season.
Why can't you? Come on,
Why?
That's the 14 years behind you. That's the 14. Why? Someone told me that, Alex. We was talking about a game, and one of our good friends that does with the trust, Alex, and I was like, well, if we're playing Wolves, I remember Wolves are this. If he went, no, we should beat Wolves. We should beat them. I was like, you know what? You've convinced me. We should beat them, and we end up okay, whatever. But because of what's happened, well, if we can just maybe nick a result, it's bloody Wolves at home, beat them. Yeah. That's what we've got to think of. And then when the big boys come in town, let's upset them as well. Just get Alan Shearer to wind up Roy Keane, then we'll be fine.
It'd be brilliant. Do you think that? I mean, that Arsenal game that you mentioned the end of last season. Do you feel that was? I don't know, because for me, when I watched that, I felt that was like a proper yardstick as to how far we've come and to really how far the club has come on. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, that was a team that was challenging for Champions League. They had the opportunity to get to Champions League, and they had that look in their eye where they was demoralised. I was watching a game with my son, my oldest son. He's a big Arsenal fan, and he was watching it, and he was like, "They've gone. They couldn't get going." And you could see and I've been there. You can see they're demoralised, and that gives you more and more confidence that you're really going to stick the knife in. And it just went more and more, and then the place was like a frenzy of excitement and joy, and everything was coming out of like how we started the season, where we was in October, November. We've sat through this. The new owners have come in. We've lost a couple of games. We're out the FA Cup. We're actually on a great run. Now we're safe. Now we've got Bruno. Now we're winning game. And it was like a frenzy of all that emotion coming out. And that was that jubilation. So as you rightly said, I would say to the players, that's your benchmark. But I'll say to the fans as well, we got to keep having that type of atmosphere every home game, because it was incredible. You could see the fear in the Arsenal's players. I mean, they haven't got Vieira, Henry, Petit, Bergkamp, and all them players, but that's where they was, and they was going for Champions League. So that's the yardstick for us, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean,
it'd be great to see on that All or Nothing, won't it? The Arsenal documentary is coming out, I think, next month or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It'd be great to see that.
Please, can I just say to Eddie, please don't do that. let Spurs do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I don't want it. Good job they never did it when we was playing. I tell you, there'd be a few of us in trouble.
I would have been interesting. I would love to have been a fly on the wall sometimes during that era. Would have been interesting, I bet in that dressing room.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was great stories, great people, great leaders. I said great memories as well. Someone always said to me, "You retired a long time, but you can always have them nights of, beating Barcelona, Shearer and Ginola having a go at each other, and the manager hiding behind the door and saying, 'Have they calmed down?' and we're waving them, all them type of things that people don't see. People don't see, but we was there doing it, and good times, good times. Maybe one day we'll do a book. Rob Lee will probably do it, but it'd be boring. It'd be boring by the end of it. Got up, played, went back to bed, watched TV, got up, played, went back to bed, watched TV, got up. Fucking Groundhog Day with Rob, it was. It was all good.
God, Rob Lee's getting a kicking today.
I know. You know why? I see a tweet the other day from him that he was doing something. He had this goal against someone, and I thought, it just jogged my memory. It was a wonderful goal at home. I think it was against Nottingham Forest, actually. Ginola set him up and he ran off and we were celebrating together. So yeah, dog. But I love him. He's one of my very, very good friends. So, but I love having a go at him because he starts mumbling to himself.
Yeah, because haven't a few of you kind of got together a few times and gone to games? Oh, we may have just lost Warren there. I think, have we? We'll just see if he comes back. Oh, there he is.
Yeah. Sorry.
Wonderful stuff.
It's the heat. It's the heat out here.
It's a chilly 18 degrees now in England in comparison to the last couple of days. No, my question was going to be, I mean, we've seen that you've gone to a game. Did you say it was the Cambridge game?
I won't be invited back again. Don't worry about that. But I was there for the Cambridge game, and obviously it wasn't a good performance and everything else. But as you said, you have to take a step back to go forward. So maybe it's an omen that I stay away. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll put it this way: I've never had an email back to inviting me back, so maybe that's it. I keep checking whether have you got my right email address, but no, nothing keeps coming back.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's been great to see some of some of the older players as well, kind of going back and seeing more involved in the club as well. Have you noticed that as well?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was obviously we were speaking about Rob, but Rob was there. John Beresford was there. To see Nikos come back, which was great to be in there. David Ginola obviously was doing some work with Sky. Alan being around and his statue being moved to where it should have been near Sir Bobby. Yeah, and we speak to with each other, as I said, whether it's on WhatsApp or when we bump. All we've ever wanted is not to say, "Oh, how great it was when we was playing" and everything. We've wanted the best for the club, and we gave. I can say it for me, and I think everybody else. I gave everything I had for the club. I didn't have anything more to give. I'd given everything, and then I moved away to try something else. And all we've ever wanted, because of how the people are, not necessarily the football fans, but I'm talking about when I lived up there and when I was walking around and talking to people and just being out and living my life, how people was to me. They gave me everything, and they appreciated that I gave something back, which to me is the normal. And all I ever wanted is for the club to be successful and have fun and enjoy the times that we have. So it's great when we see people coming back and chatting, and it's not to go, what we are and what we did and things like that. It's just to say, enjoy what it is, because it's the greatest club in the world. When that place is going, it's the best place in the world. And as I said, you've had one or two glimpses of that, but if you give everything to that club, it'll give you so much more back. And that's what we're trying to emulate to the people around in that football club, what it is like to play in that. Don't take it. There was never one. I get asked the question a lot. What was your best memories? And obviously, beating United 5-0 and the 5-0 against Nottingham Forest when it got us in the Champions League, and beating Barcelona, the 2 FA Cup finals, whatever it may be. But every single day I loved. I miss it now. As I said, I'm a long time retired. I miss it. I'm never going to get it back again. And I loved every minute of it. I was so proud to play for that club and be associated with it. And that's what I want everybody else to feel, because even talking about it now, I get goosebumps, because it was a club that I loved and I gave everything for it. And they give me so much more back. The people, not necessarily the football club and things like that, but even talking about people, the stewards that was there, or people in the office or in the club shop or in the canteen where we was, or even if we was walking around the Metro Centre, it was great, and I loved it, and I love going back. I won't be going back very often if we keep getting beat by Cambridge, but you know, and that's what we all want to go back and give. You know, that's what we all want to. You know, this is what it was like. You know, give it everything. You know, don't hold back. Give it everything you got because it's a great club. It's the best club in the world, in my opinion. You know, Rio Ferdinand might say the same about United or Wayne Rooney or whoever. You know, might say their own things about it. But for me and the fans and how it is and the whole package of Newcastle United is better than any football club I know, because that's the club is the city and the city is the fans, and the football club is the fans. So where other clubs it's a little bit mixed around over there. Like I said, when you're if you're born a Newcastle fan, your kid's going to be a Newcastle supporter. He ain't going to pick and say, well, I want to play. My son's an Arsenal fan, and Chelsea fan, and Man United fan. That wouldn't happen up there. So no, that doesn't go.
It's
You
shocking
ain't
that
going anywhere else.
Jones, Warren.
I know. I can't believe I let it out of the cat out of the bag. That just shows you how strong I am in my house. You know what I mean? I definitely wear the trousers in my house. So anyway.
But the football chats are fun.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I mean, Warren, your passion for the club is just, it's brilliant to see, and just how invested you are in it. And it's great to see former players still like that and almost be really invigorated by what they've seen in the club in recent years. It's just great, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure. When we get a result, it makes my Saturdays feel better anyway, not the doom and gloom. But, you know, as I said, it comes from the heart. You know, it's not something that it's a sales pitch. It comes, I mean it, I love it. And I just want the best for everybody in the football club. And that goes from the owners to the players to the supporters. And that's, I think everybody knows what I'm like, and that's how I've always been.
Brilliant. Well, absolutely. Warren, thank you so much. We really do appreciate you coming on. It's been such a pleasure to have you. Matt, Johnny, if you got any more questions you want to throw in there,
just really good to speak again, Warren. I know we spoke a few months ago just after takeover and things. So really good to have you. And
anytime.
Continue.
Anytime. And I've just best of luck for the season. And as I said, hopefully we can meet up again and talk about some good times.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Can't wait. I'm sure we will.
Cool.
I'm sure we will do. But Warren, thank you so much for joining us on the NUFC360 podcast. Make sure you tune in next week. We will be back for all the latest Newcastle news and anything that goes on. Hopefully, some attacking players will have signed by then. We'll wait and see. But Warren, once again, thank you so much. Thanks to Matt and Johnny as well. And we'll see you later. Bye-bye.